always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. Holiday Smile Cookies are back. Pick up a festive smile cookie and support local charities and the Tim Hortons Foundation camps, with 100% of all proceeds donated. Last year, Canadians helped raise $10.7 million and over $20.5 million since the campaign began. So enjoy one, enjoy a few, enjoy a dozen, as Ray Ferraro likes to, and make a real difference in your community. It's a fun time of year, right? It's one of the wonderful things we love about the partnership with Tim Hortons, because, we've got the basically full hockey season, Tim's Hockey Challenge, which we have some fun with at the end of every podcast. We just essentially came through the Tim's NHL cards. That was a lot of fun, right? And now it's a smile cookie campaign, right? So why not?
Okay, so with the smile cookie gets you like thinking into Christmas, and and how soon is too early in the Drager household? Because I'm looking just behind this camera at 6 tubs full of Christmas stuff that have made their way into my office that is now just a few feet away from where the tree goes. So it looks like we're on the way. So, what about you?
Yeah, we're just nibbling at it right now. So I'm one of those people. I've got clear Christmas lights, right? So not multicolored, just clear. And I leave them up all year long because you can barely see them in the summer. I'm one of those guys. I used to have a company that would come and install them and then take them down. And I'm like, really? Like, why am I paying $1,500 a year to do this? I'm cheap. I don't want to do that. So I left them. So now all I the start of the holiday or the Christmas season is I just simply plug in the timer, and now they come on when the sun goes down and they shut off at like 2:00 in the morning, something like that.
Yeah, but tree?
No tree, none of that. No. And correct my firm, there's lots of Canadians that celebrate this. Doesn't that feel like an American thing though, more so? Because, American Thanksgiving then quickly morphs into full holiday
Christmas,
mode, does it not? Yeah.
I think that's kind of the time for us. We'll be by the 1st. We'll be ready to go. Like but all of a sudden, I just saw these buckets, and I'm like, we're starting to roll down the road. But now, I think I've said this before, but we didn't have the clear Christmas lights growing up. We had the big old bulbs, the colored bulbs,
and one would die and the whole strand would go down. That kind of thing.
Those are the ones. And we put them up. Well, my dad put them up one year, and I think once he got to the end of the house, he's like, I'm never doing that again. Those lights stayed up there for a decade. And a bird would peck one out, and he'd be like, whatever.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder. Isn't that the way it goes? But now, are you a real Christmas tree family or the artificial?
One of each. One of each. We got a small artificial one that sits at the top of the stairs that I don't really know why it's there, but I kind of like that it is. And then we have a real one. If we can figure out how to get it delivered, we're gonna order a real one. But yeah, I like the real one. I know it's not as eco-friendly as probably could be, but I don't know. I like it. So we partake in that. How about you guys?
Yeah, no, we're the artificial tree gang now, and I learned my lesson. Not in the house that we're in now. 5-6 years ago, we were in a different house, and we had these very, very tall vaulted ceilings. So I thought, you know what? It was our first year in this house. Take advantage of the high ceiling. Let's go out and get a massive, real Christmas tree. I bought a 14-foot Christmas tree.
14
feet. Seemed like a good idea. It was a beautiful tree. But then along with that, then I had to go buy this monstrous step ladder because I had to get up to the top of the tree to decorate and all those things. Yeah. So yeah, it was fantastic. Wonderful Christmas until it came time to take this thing out, Ray.
No good. No good.
Mason and I are looking at each other going, what are we going to do here? And we literally had to cut it limb by limb. And there were needles everywhere to get this thing out of the house. We weren't thinking that, okay, it's 14 feet high and it's like 9 feet wide. It's not going through a door. So we had to, it wasn't Paul Bunyan inside the house is not a good idea.
Paul McDermott, who's his son Curtis plays in Ottawa now. Paul Dermy and I were roommates in Hartford our first year. And so, we get a Christmas tree and we by the end, Christmas is over. We take the ornaments off. We're like, what the hell are we going to do with this tree? So we just opened up the sliding, like we lived in a little townhouse. We opened up the sliding doors and pitched it out in the backyard. And to my knowledge, it never got moved. I mean, it was there in the spring for sure, just sitting out there. Everything was dead. Like dummies, right? We what are we going to do with this? And he was, Dermy was really strong, and he's like, well, why don't we just throw it outside?
Throw it out.
So that's what we did.
You should have put it beside the old vehicle, the old derelict vehicle that.
No, but I didn't have that have that till the next, that was the year before. I went from I'm not a car guy, so I went from a AMC Matador, 1976 AMC Matador. That's the one Dean and I have. And then I bought a Volkswagen diesel Dasher for $2,500, and the guys would always say it was the worst car in the league, and could I please get something else? And well, it wasn't please. They're like, get a new damn car. That thing is so ugly.
It's embarrassing. We can't drive in it.
Yeah. I was not spending any money on cars at that point.
All right, well, let's tour the National Hockey League, shall we? And dive into the headlines brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. Hey, hockey lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. Catch every game with beer specials, lots of game day prizes, and so much more. All at the best hockey house in town. You can see in store or at CanadianBrewhouse.com for additional details on what your local brewhouse is up to this hockey season. And we shouldn't be surprised at what the Colorado Avalanche are up to, right? I mean, perennial, they're a favored team in the NHL, a top Stanley Cup contender. 6 straight wins as we record this episode, Ray. 13-1-5 in the 19 games that the Avs have played to this point. You've got McKinnon, you've got Makar, and you've got Scott Wedgwood, who's having a season, isn't he? I mean, I was looking at their lineup this morning, and every team has maybe a question mark. The majority of teams have concerns. But I'm looking at the lineup of the Colorado Avalanche, and I'm going, you know what? I'm sure Chris McFarland can envision upgrading in some areas, but not a lot. When you look at that team and from the crease out, the way they're playing, man, it's they've earned their position as a top contender yet again.
Okay, so I think this is really they're not under the gun, but they in a way they're under the gun here because pretty quickly Makar is going to need a new contract. And that's, even with the cap going up, that's going to squeeze the roster a little bit. And so there's windows, I think, that fit for teams, even really great teams like Colorado. It's not just their record. They look like the best team. And I think it's a pretty important time for them. They've had some injuries that have taken them out of the last couple of years. And, last year I thought was like incredibly bold by them. They started the year and they're like, you know what, our goaltending's not good enough. Onanen and Georgiev were their goalies. And in 10 days in October and early November, they got Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood. Who changes their goalies in the middle of the year? And I thought it was really bold. And is Wedgwood pushing his way into consideration for the third guy in Team Canada?
He is.
He has to be. Has to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at it, you've got Logan Thompson, you've got Bennington, Darcy Kemper is in that conversation, but as a third guy, I think you'd have to consider Wedgwood at this point.
What's interesting, that third guy probably doesn't play. Well, I mean, that would be the plan. But I, if it is possible to have someone that has played in a platoon sort of thing, that's the guy. That's the guy to bring, because Wedgwood, his whole career has come in cold and been able to do the job. And and at the start of this year, when Blackwood was out, I want to say he started like 13 of the first 14 games, something like that. He was he was a workhorse for them, and I'm telling you, I would think he's a surprising name, but one that has to be really considered, I'd say.
Oh, for sure. And they've got meetings, Team Canada's brass, coming up in early December. And as the insiders, we keep reminding people, I mean, when you look positionally at Team Canada, there's no position that's more wide open right now than in goal. They just don't know. Like they look at Logan Thompson. Bennington has earned his place as a tandem. You know, whether he starts or not, I guess that'll be up to John Cooper and how his game evolves. But yeah, I mean, goaltending with Wedgwood into that conversation, I think is well deserved. Winnipeg Jets, Ray, making news last night as part of their gala. It's not very often where, you know, teams can kind of break their own news. And we knew that the Adam Lowry extension was coming. We knew that. I mean, he's been priority essentially since they got Kyle Connor locked down, that they were going to extend their captain. So it was developing the front burner on Wednesday as the day was unfolding. But they more or less kept it under wraps. So Mark Chipman, one of the owners of the Winnipeg Jets, could make the announcement at this gala. And of course, they got a big ovation for the 5-year extension at $5 million per. That seems like fair value, isn't it? I mean, he's a 32-year-old player, but he is one of those guys that he would earn the money on ice, but it's the combination of everything, right? The leader that he is as a captain, you know, how involved he is in the community, all of those things.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I don't quite have my head around is the guys getting the years into their late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like I know right now it's the cost of doing business that, you know, I don't think anybody wants too many players signed at 36 and 7 years old. Lowry just came off a hip surgery, so they would have all the information on him because he's been there this whole career. They would know his health, you know, his health file and all that. I love just what he does for them. He would be a miserable guy to play against, and I assume that they hope that at least in the next 3 or 4 years that, you know, his value is of the importance that it is now. You know, like there's going to be a time when it can't be, but it doesn't. That number I looked at when that came across, I was like, well, that seems fair. About right. Yep, seems about right. And you're right. He's a big part of what they do in Winnipeg. And one thing they've had there is year-over-year success because they seem to have that core that kind of drives the bus in the culture way that they want it to be. And they've had a lot of success there. They really have. Their last 5-year numbers are really pretty strong.
And Chipman and the Jets aren't messing around here. I mean, again, as part of his announcement, the extension of his captain, he acknowledged that, okay, well, Cole Perfetti is up next. You know, like, so they've got the, you know, and Cole is working his way into the core of the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, the reason that they felt okay with, you know, letting Nick Ehlers go to free agency and then ultimately, you know, move and leave and join Carolina is because they thought, okay, well, Ehlers is kind of blocking Perfetti's way. So we have to go all in with Cole Perfetti, whatever that looks like. So I suspect that I think they're just in the early goings of having discussions with the Perfetti camp, but he's next on their list of getting guys locked down.
So did they say that? Did Chipman say that at the Vet Gala?
Apparently. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
as Perfetti's eating that spongy cheesecake that we all get at the end of those things, then that probably went down a little better, didn't it? That'd be,
Yes.
would you look at that? That's kind of nice. Good for
Yeah.
him.
What about the Oilers, Ray? You and I were exchanging on Wednesday night as we're watching the Edmonton Oilers and their foibles with the Washington Capitals. So they lose to Washington. They're still struggling, obviously, to find their game. Defensive details to blame, according to Chris Knobloch and anybody with eyes who can watch their games. It's somewhat obvious. But they give up 5 and then a couple of empty netters, compliments of Tom Wilson. But that was... It was a hard game to watch in a lot of different ways from Edmonton's perspective, wasn't it?
So what they're losing after the first period, it's 3-2. Nurse had both Edmonton goals, and then so they gave up the 3, and then Sonny Milano hit the goal post from about 10 feet in front of the net, and then they made this other turnover where half of their team literally ended up on one side of the ice, and Ryan Leonard went around to the other side. Oh, no, that's the one he scored on. He scored on that. So Milano hit the post, and it was John Carlson who got a cross-ice pass and skated 25 feet into the, he was 20 feet away, and he hit the crossbar. Like, they could have given up 5 in the first period. I do believe, I think I just saw they're last in goals against, last in save percentage. And I know it's easy to look at the goalie because it's been an ongoing topic for years now, for a couple of years. But
feels like
their play in front of him and whoever's in there is not, it's not even close for what it needs to be. The second Leonard goal, he got a pass up the wing. He went right through Evan Bouchard. Bouchard had one hand on his stick, and I mean, at some point, like, you gotta know the guy's going to drive the net. Like, Bouchard's 6'3". Like, just put your shoulder down, put 2 hands on your stick, and you're going to run the guy off his track. But Leonard just went straight across the net. I don't know, how can you blame the goalie there? Like, I guess maybe he could have, Skinner could have made a great save or whatever, but they're off in several different areas. And the biggest problem becomes you fix one problem and another one seems to spring up. That's where they are. That's where they are right now. And it's not what they think.
When does it become, I mean, it's not concerning to you or I, but from a fan perspective, do you just lean on the fact that this team has been so good for a long time now? They're just more or less getting back healthy. So everybody relax. All this stuff will get cleaned up. Everybody relax. They'll be good. They'll be really good, and they'll go deep into the playoffs again. At what point do you go, well, maybe not. Maybe that's not the way it's going to go.
I certainly they miss Nugent Hopkins. He's such a valuable piece for them. But like in almost every facet of their game, right? He's really, really a quiet, very important piece. I guess as time goes on, you can't think that everybody's going to be the same year after year after year. Guys get it. Guys are a year older. Guys are. Some guys have a good year. Some guys have a bad year. You bring in new players. Some work. Some don't. The problem. There just feels like this urgency with McDavid, right? Like that. You can't bank on having a guy get 130 points every year. Like, eventually those it happened to Gretzky, it happened to Lemieux. It's gonna, Connor's years from that, but like there always feels urgency in Edmonton, and I don't think anybody believes, let's just wait till the playoffs and it'll all be fine. Like that would be a rather foolhardy way to go about it, in my opinion. The problem becomes, what do you do exactly to fix it?
Yeah.
Like what do you do? Like there might be something like, I know Calvin Pickard's a super popular guy and he makes, $900,000 or, $1 million, but his his season is not very good. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, he's just the backup, but the backup's got to play 25 times.
Right.
You can't just throw games away. He's either got to stop the puck or they've got to think about something else. Because it's going to be way cheaper to do that than it is to try and find a legit starter, right? Because Skinner hasn't had a great year either, but that still doesn't solve the problems in front of them. And there's multiple ones. They don't check like they did a year ago. They don't defend like they did a year ago, and all that adds up into those, those really concerning defensive numbers. You can't expect to score 5 goals a game. Like, they got wonderful offensive people, but man, they're gonna have to really figure out how to cut that down.
It feels like we spend a fair bit of time on the Ray and Dregs podcast in the Canadian Brewhouse headlines talking about the New York Rangers, at least to this point of the regular season. And unfortunately for the Rangers, it's been mostly negative, just based on their overall play. As you would know, Canuck fans, though, this week enjoying the backlash that's directed at New York Rangers captain JT Miller after he seemingly gave up in his own zone on Tuesday night, which near instantly led to the Vegas Golden Knights 2-0 goal. I got to tell you, when I saw it, it's one of those plays where you're just drawn to watching it over and over and over again because you're looking at it and going, this guy's a professional hockey player. And he absolutely just gave up on a play that, I mean, just defend, right? Do something, get a stick on the guy. It was a Dorofeev, I think, who had the puck, just spun off the wall, and JT just let him go. I mean, do you recall seeing something like that where it was like effortless? Like it was borderline unbelievable.
Yeah. I can remember an overtime goal last year in Vancouver. And there were these blips in his game that, like, I just don't recall. I don't really recall seeing that looking like that. I just don't recall seeing it that looked like a preseason game where the guy gets away from you and you go, nah, like that. That's what it looked like. It's a terrible look. And I don't even really know how to explain it. Right. Like I really don't.
It's tough.
Because as the guy spun away from him, like he's dead straight legged and doesn't push anywhere. I mean, they named him, they brought him in there. They made him the captain of the team. Of course they need him. He's a really good player, but there are these blips. There are these blips in his game and they do happen. And you're just like, I can't even really explain it. I really can't. And their season has been just wild this year. They've been, great on the road, terrible at home. And, they're trying to figure out their lineup as well. They brought a couple of young guys up. They sent a couple of young guys down. And, they're searching a little bit there as well.
You know that market well. I mean, you played there. That's one of those markets that will turn on you pretty quickly. And if the fan base turns on JT Miller, his experience isn't going to be a pleasant one there, is it? I'm not saying they will, but it's examples like that where an educated hockey fan, an uneducated hockey fan is just going, no, that's not acceptable. Can't happen.
Well, no, but this cannot happen. Like guys go into dead periods in the season where you might get 3 goals in 20 games, right? Like, like that. It happens. The game is not predictable enough that you can, I'm going to have, I'm a 35 goal scorer, so I'm going to get the right ratio of goals every 10 games. That just doesn't happen. This stuff it makes everybody uneasy because how do you address it? I mean, really the discussion is just try. Because he did on that play, he did not, and it stands out. Like you said, I watched it several times. I'm like, what am I missing here? And
Mm-hmm.
he just, I don't understand. It's not in my DNA or in my understanding to have done that, to do that.
Right.
And so I don't know whatever went through his head there that happened. I mean, he's got to dig in, and they need him to dig in. Like nothing can replace effort.
Yeah.
Like they're just that's the bare minimum. As you said, you're a professional athlete. That's the bare minimum, and he's got way better than that. I'm not really sure what the hell happened there, because it looked terrible.
Yeah. All right. Well, from the Rangers, we go to the New York Islanders. We're going to hear from Patrick Roy in just a minute here. I wonder if he's still as furious as he seemed he was over the Mikko Rantanen hit this week on Alex Romanov. Now, Rantanen was clipped right before the hit, which contributed to the outcome. And unfortunately for the Islanders, I mean, Romanov he was injured on the play. He's going to be out for a while. But Patrick Roy caught on a microphone. You could clearly hear him screaming from the bench. So here it is.
I hope he's going to be okay. At this moment, I don't know what's exactly what it is, but all I'm going to say is when you see the number, you have to lay off.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows that. I mean, you don't go through the guy. I mean, you know, and I'm proud of the way that our guys handled it afterwards. You know, no one was happy to see someone get hurt like this, and like I said, to me is disrespectful for our guys.
Is that sort of what you were saying to Mikko as he skated by?
Yeah. I was in Colorado when he was drafted there, and it's not his style. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, that should not be part of our game.
No, well, that's post-game, but in-game on the bench, you know, you could hear Patrick Roy yelling at him, "You're not going to finish the game the next time we play." I mean, that is as direct a threat as you're going to get from a head coach to an opposing player. So just walk us through it. I mean, first of all, the hit. It was worthy of the major in the game, wasn't it?
Oh, for sure it was. Dregs, I always, and I mean always, side with suspend more harshly than less harshly. I always feel that, because I think if there is no detriment, if there is no fear of punishment, then the guys kind of shrug it off and go, nah, yeah, you know, it's just a hockey play, right? Things happen, and that sort of thought. There always seems to be the defense of no suspension is the fault of somebody else or something else, as opposed to, hey, the guy just shouldn't do that. Now, I know Rantanen got tripped up a little bit. I know that he stumbled forward and his arms go out as he's pushing him. But even if that play, if he does not get tripped up, the play is more shoulder to shoulder than arms extended with your stick out. That's a dangerous area of the ice. Like, I don't like the play to start with, Dregs. Even though he got tripped, there's a chance that play goes bad, you know, way more than if he's thinking, I'm going to have my stick out, I'm going to make it shoulder to shoulder, you know, your Rantanen's left shoulder onto the right shoulder of Romanov. Even though he's behind him, you can get to that side. So I didn't like the play. I understand why there's no suspension, but I didn't like the play anyway. If you want to think of where Roy's head would go, one of the greatest pieces of video that you will see in a explosion of anger in the 90s is the Detroit-Colorado brawl. Yeah. When Claude Lemieux hit Chris Draper. And the next time they played, it was absolute mayhem. And they actually did a documentary on it. Darren McCarty, his group had put a documentary out. And when you see Roy come flying from the net, I think that's probably going through his head at some point. Like if people have not seen it,
who did he tag Shanny first or
yes,
Adam? And then
Shanahan
Foote came in.
Yeah, Shanahan came out of whatever he was holding off somebody, and he said he saw a wall coming from the corner of his eye, and it is an amazing piece of video. But that's the way things were dealt with then. And
I wonder if the league would have an issue with it. You know what? It's caught on a microphone, but you can't. I mean, it's just a blatant threat, right? Like, come on.
I think there's a chat for sure, and I think the next time that those teams play, whenever that is, everybody will get a phone call prior, and they'll have Department of Player Safety will be at the game for sure.
Yeah, and if a line is crossed in that game, the fines will be substantive. That would be the message, I would think, from Coley Campbell and the league to Patrick Roy and the Islanders in general. Hey, why don't we for next week? Maybe it's a little early. We talked in the podcast about 2-3 weeks ago about putting out an Olympic roster. Should we start doing that for next week?
I think, when's the last when's selection day? Do you know offhand?
I don't offhand. Like December, I believe. For the not the long roster, but I don't know.
But when they got to pick 20, what is it, 25? So when's that final roster in,
Well, I know that both the American management group and the Canadian management group are meeting again early December, and that would probably it'll be in and around there.
I believe it's late December. I think it's during the World Juniors.
Okay. Well,
will the rink be finished?
They're making progress. Yes, they're making progress.
Everybody's got a shovel now. They're moving it along. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean. The NHL and the Players Association sent a group to Italy to investigate, make sure that this thing is going to be of NHL talents. So they seem satisfied. We'll see.
Yep.
So when do you want to start?
January 1st.
There you go.
Okay.
January 1st.
We could get a couple lineups out before then. Absolutely.
Well, the only reason I like it is because we can obviously alter as it gets closer to January 1st, but maybe your roster next week is going to look not completely different, but different by the time we drift into early mid-December. That's my point. It's an exercise. Okay. Homework.
Oh boy, homework. I was never any good at that.
No. And I guess we'd have to do Team USA as well, right? We're not just a Canadian podcast. We're
we got to get on it. Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to work. We got work this weekend, Dregs, you and I.
We do.
We got to get on this. Yeah.
All right. Those are your headlines. Is Ryan
going to put his on? Is Rashog putting one in?
Well, we'll ask him. He's coming up here. Thanks to the Canadian Brew House. He's going to join us here for Ask Ray and Dregs. Anything. You can send us your thoughts, your questions on X, on Instagram, at Ray and Dregs. So let's bring in Ryan Rashog and find out what the plan is here.
Nobody cares about my roster. I mean, it's just going to take up airtime.
No, that's true. Yeah. I mean, you'll just make a case for Evan Bouchard. That's all you're going to do.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if people pick this up, but this is such a Dregs thing. Ryan says, nobody cares about my roster. And Drager goes, no, you're right. And he just moves on in the conversation. Yeah. Like we don't even stop anymore, but oh my God, it's so good.
I feel like, my dad always taught me self-deprecation. Like it's a good trait to have, and it's a good thing. Shows confidence. So I'll be self-deprecating, but Dregs he makes it hurt. He finds a way to make self-deprecation sting even deper, and it's painful. It hurts.
All right. Well, my apologies to you and your family. How's that?
Yeah, we'll be okay.
That's
little Pierre Maguire.
We'll be just fine. So we had some good submissions here, and actually you guys hit on a couple of the topics that the submissions were about. So we'll take a little bit of a different tact at it and ask Ray and Dregs. First of all, we'll start with the Patrick Waugh, Mikko Rantanen situation. Basically, Jonathan in Montreal is saying, With that on record, you're not going to finish that game. Does that not change what the Islanders can do about that situation? Not to be an alarmist, but if something serious happens to Rantanen in that game, even a freak injury, that could spell serious trouble off ice, could it not? Thanks and love the show, fellas. It's been fun competing against Zuby in the Tim's Challenge. That's from Jonathan in Montreal. So when you have that piece of audio, and if someone were to go and exact some sort of retribution, that the intention is for it to be within the bounds of the game's code, but it goes wrong, that changes the game, doesn't it, Dregs? That's an uttered threat.
Yeah. I mean, Commissioner Bettman wouldn't like that at all. I mean, it is a byproduct of entertainment too, right? You've got the microphones, you've got the cameras. A lot of stuff gets caught and gets filtered out to the masses. But as we talked about in the Canadian Brewhouse headlines, I think it probably begins and ends with Colin Campbell, the head of hockey operations for the NHL. Maybe Stephen Walkom's involved, maybe Peros gets involved, and they collectively have that discussion with management of the New York Islanders, with Patrick Waugh directly, maybe with the Dallas Stars as well, to say any shenanigans and we're coming after you guys. I don't think it goes beyond that though.
I would agree. I think you have to take also into consideration, it's not like he said this after the game. That like this is in the game, in the moment, where emotion is at 14 out of 10. And so I think it's a lot different if he's in his presser after the game and he says the same things to the media. I think it's a completely different scenario. I think this is a phone call and like, hey, Patrick, you got to understand this is what's going on from our perspective, and just be mindful of it. I don't really think there's much more to it than that. If I don't know how many times on the ice, your well-being is threatened, right? It's just all, it's in the midst of it, right? And it just kind of goes, it just kind of passes by.
You're down there between the benches, Ray, and you were on the ice years ago during the golden age of NHL retribution. What is it a lot different now in terms of how often you would hear something that severe?
Yes. No, it's not even close. And also there were guys wandering around that when they told you that they were going to do something untoward to you, they actually they meant it. And they were like, oh, they're not fooling. Okay, quick little thing. We're playing Hartford. I'm with the Islanders at this point, and I don't know, I was being a little shit or something, and Kelly Chase tells me, stop slashing guys. I'm telling you, stop slashing guys. So I go back to the bench, and Mick Vukota was our tough guy, and he said, what did Chaser say? He said, he told me to lay off the stick work. He goes, you don't have to worry about Chaser. He's an honest guy. Like, you don't, but just, kind of keep it in mind. So we're up late in the game. There's a scrum, and he's telling me, I told you to keep your stick down. And, there was two guys between us. So I was like, yeah, beat it, Chaser, and blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately I wasn't far enough away. And bam, he got me right on the tip of the visor, and my nose just exploded.
Oh no!
Blood pouring down and I go back to the bench, and I come in, and Mick goes, "Oh, sorry about that." He goes, "You should keep your hands up." I was like chirping away, and I thought I was at a safe distance, and he had longer arms than it appeared, and man, did he get me! Boom.
That is sensational.
That's a great story. I love story time with Uncle Ray. All right, this one from Steve here in Edmonton, my neck of the woods. He asks, do you think the loss of coaching gravitas has hurt the group? Nothing against Mark Stewart and Paul McFarland, but those are very different voices than Paul Coffey and Glenn Gulletson. In fairness, special teams have been decent, but the major drop-off in individual games on the blue line in particular is concerning. That's coming to us from Steve in Edmonton. Some significantly different voices this year, Ray, to be whispered in these players' ears as the turmoil continues.
I do think it matters. If you talk to Chris Knobloch, I mean, they spent a good chunk of the latter part of the summer trying to get their staff back together because Paul decided not to coach anymore. Gully ends up in Dallas, and Stewart, who was there and kind of ran the D and the penalty killing kind of in concert with Koff. The bench is different. The dynamic's different. The way that you deploy the defenseman is different. Coffey seemed to have almost a real sage way of putting pieces together. I wouldn't have thought of him as a traditional coach, yet he really seemingly had a way about him. And so I said earlier, you fix one problem and another springs up, and the dynamic of the team all seems off. It doesn't seem as locked in. And so I would say that would probably be a factor of it as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's interesting. We go through this in Toronto, very similar in terms of the issues that the Leafs are facing. And, why doesn't the coach adjust his game plan, rather than be rigid north-south, hard forecheck, hard check, all of that. If your players aren't willing, as Ray talks about, to do it, well, you got to adjust. You've got to do something on the fly. And I wonder a little bit about that in Edmonton, because even though Knobloch keeps talking about their defensive details, why aren't they getting it? You're 20 games in.
Yep.
Why aren't they committing and executing? It can't all be about the coaching. It at times has to be about the player doing what he needs to do.
Dregs, that's a good point you bring up, because the team, certainly the defense, is relatively similar.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, like everybody else, they've had some nicks and bumps and things, but it's quite surprising. That's quite a drop in their goals against.
Oof.
Yeah.
It feels like they should be able to get their heads around that, but it's certainly not been the case.
No.
Right. Every game is, they give up way too much. And whether it's coaching or a tweak to a system or not executing a system, hell, you can have the best system in the world, and if the guys on the ice do not execute it, it doesn't really matter.
All right, on the lighter side, over to X. Matthew Scott asks each of us, who would you pick to replace yourself on the pod for an episode to annoy everybody else? And then in parentheses, he says, I'm guessing James Duthie. So he assumes James would be an annoyance to each of us if he were to have a hosting spot on the show for a day. But if the purpose was to annoy each of us, who would you replace? I'll go first on this one while you guys think. And my answer is for either of you. I think if I were to replace either of you for an entire show, it would thoroughly annoy either of you or both of you. So my answer is me.
So we're not annoying the podcast viewers or listeners. We're
each other.
Annoying each other. Interesting.
Yes.
Well, that's a tough one to top because you are annoying. Maybe Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson, man, when he goes after the CFL media, fans, like cities, like all of it, he's relentless.
How do you think he'd jive with Ray? That would be an interesting dynamic. A sort of grumpy Ray. You catch Ray on the right day and drop Luke next to him. Yes. That could be gold.
It could be good.
Okay, I'm gonna go with two guys that I've played golf with a lot, and the instruction would be bring your annoying gene to the show. And I would pick either Darren Pang or Mike Commodore. And
oh boy.
And I would tell either of them, oh, just make sure you bring it. Kami would, he is, what a storyteller. Oh my God. It's, and Panger, I would make sure that he had 3 coffees before he came on here. And
vibrating Panger.
Oh my God. Yeah. Those would be my choices for sure.
Awesome.
Love it. Well, we'll see if either of them are available. Maybe we'll do that one day. Okay, the last one we'll wrap up here. This one comes to us from a good neighbor. What would you guys do if a neighbor had a porta potty on their driveway for 6 months after construction was complete? I live in the same neighborhood as Ray, and every day I walk to our local village for groceries and walk by a semi-famous broadcaster's house who had a porta potty in his driveway long after the minor renovation was complete. Seems weird to me. So should I let it go? Should I call the company myself and get it picked up? Or could you ask Dan Murphy to publicly explain what is going on with the portable toilet on his driveway? Murph's a good buddy of all of ours. Ray, you're in the area. What the heck?
I think he's got it situated. It's not like directly in the middle where you see it all the time, but I think he's almost done there. So he did say, did he not, Brian, that perhaps it would become a statue?
He did, yeah. I sent it to you. I sent this note to you and him. And this is Murph. He goes, I'm just buoyed by the fact that I'm semi-famous. So he took it as a compliment. That's all Murph heard was the compliment wrapped up in there. Reno is done in a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll make it a permanent fixture for the neighborhood. It's pretty much a historic landmark now, the smartass says, tongue-in-cheek. So there you go.
Well, okay. So I don't know if if you've had construction around your neighborhood, and it starts up, they put the porta potty up. We built our house almost 10 years ago. So I go over to the neighbor, who are this amazing couple. They're now in their 80s, and they are just amazing. And I apologize for the porta potty being there for 1.5 years, right on the corner of our lot and theirs. Like the front lawns come up together. And Kent is his name. He's like, I don't even notice it. I'm like, whoa, you're a better man than me, because it's like it's just there. And then one day we come and some bloody teenagers had walked by and flipped it over, and I'm like, oh
boy,
yeah, that wasn't a good weekend around here.
I've got a question about porta potties, and it comes from the experiences of a good buddy. Let's call this good buddy Jeff, who happens to think that porta potties on construction sites are free game, meaning you don't have to find a gas station. Just pull over to the porta potty on the construction site.
No chance.
So I want people who watch the podcast and listen to send us their comments on our account.
Can you imagine? You imagine you're pulling out of your driveway. You're backing out of your driveway, and some guy walks out of the crapper, kind of gives you a wave. Hey, how's it going?
He's got a magazine under his arm.
Have a good day, Murph.
It's your neighbor. It's your neighbor who has company, so he didn't want to in the house. Over he comes. Oh boy, highbrow humor here on Ray and Dregs.
Thanks,
that is Ask Us.
Hey, we gotta bring Zuby in, don't we?
Yeah,
we gotta do
Zuby.
our Tim's.
I don't know if you noticed this or not, Dregs, but I tend to want to disappear for this segment. So I'm out. Zuby, you take over, and I'm done.
Oops, and you did. Well, I actually meant to make that the 3-shot and keep Shogger in here, but we went quickly.
No. Let's start with Ryan Rishaug. Let's like update us here on the Hockey Challenge, because I know Ray had a big night on Tuesday night. I did okay, but Ryan Rishaug he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. I've never seen anything worse. Really fallen off from his early success. He's got 7 right out of 33. He is firmly entrenched in the basement of these standings at 175 points. Ray was leading for quite a while there, but he's relinquished that lead. He's 12 for 33, 300 points. And Dregs just came storming back this week, thanks to you. You went 3 for 6 of the 2
attempts this week. So 50%. Shifley, Geeky. Who else came through for you? Adam Lowry.
Adam Lowry.
So Dregs has vaulted just barely into first place, 13 for 33, 325 points. And the Ray and Dregs account, I've got now 37 correct, ticking that percentage up. I'm up to 29%. Oh man, I'd like that to begin with a 3. I'm getting so close. But yeah, hanging in there. I've had a couple streaks. Haven't been able to duplicate that 1 7-day heater for a free coffee that I got, but I've had a couple 3s and 4s, so it'll happen again. Just got to keep paying attention and putting my pick. Yes.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, Zuby.
Yep.
Here's your Tim's Hockey Challenge. Have you made your selections for this evening, Thursday night, Ray?
Nope, I've not. Okay. We'll get that right now because you know how. Yeah, I got to get it done, and I want to get to the point. I think one of my goals here is that we can lap Rashog. So double his total.
I'm gonna have a big double night. I can feel it.
Really? Well, you're due. I mean, you know, the goal is to pick the guys that do score, right?
Yeah. Right. He's playing a different game.
Yeah, it's like...
Zuby, roll the music. Let's wrap the show.
Sorry, Tim.
Let's go. We're done. We're out.
Hey, have a good weekend, everyone.
We gotta get going.
Yeah, we got Riley coming home from college, so we're
awesome.
We're super pumped to get him home, and Whitecaps playoff game on Saturday night here in Vancouver, 53,000 against LA, and we got a good weekend ahead. We're looking forward to it. And, hope you guys have a good one, and everybody, thanks for listening. Eh?
You bet, and thank you to our sponsors, Ray, who continue to support the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. Tim Hortons, thank you, and thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.